Subscribe with iTunes, Audio Boom, Stitcher, or your favorite podcasting app. And if you enjoy what you hear, like us on Facebook. Also, consider throwing a little cash our way by visiting patreon.com/KoreaFM. And find more of our great content on our home on the web, KoreaFM.net. Recently, the Asia Institute, which is a Seoul-based think tank, held a peace march in the capital. The event was open to the public, and a peace activist also traveled to Seoul from Japan to participate. I'm joined now by that person, Yo Kawanaka, to discuss how the march went, as well as several other topics concerning peace, the Korean Peninsula, and Japan. So, Yo, thank you for joining me. I'd like to start with a little self-introduction on your part to explain your background, your peace activism, and any other issues you've been involved with.
Yeah. My name is Yo Kawanaka, and I'm an activist of anti-nuclear and for peace because we had a big catastrophe of Fukushima, and also I realized Japanese government will hiding bad things in Japan, and also they want to hide everything for outside of country. Emmanuel Pastridge invited me for the peace march, and also I know Dr. Sin, and they are very peaceful mind with me and for everybody, and they recommend to be I speak something in peace march in that time, and also I tried to speak and I danced a little, and also I realized Korean people don't having interest with Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister of Japan. So I thought I wanted to be explain what is the Japanese problem now, but it is now a little difficult with the Korean people, I think.
Yeah, I've done several reports concerning many different topics, if you will, between South Korea and Japan. I think we'll talk about some of those. But absolutely, I've interviewed South Koreans, and I've also been to Japan and interviewed Japanese people and tried to get both of those perspectives. So that's something we can definitely talk about here. Something I want to point out, in a recent piece for the Korea Times that was about this peace march, one of your colleagues wrote that, quote, she emphasized good relations between Korea and Japan is the fundamental requirement for peace in the region, and that you, quote, strongly criticized the Japanese Prime Minister's efforts to rearm Japan, noting that, quote, it will only lead to death and destruction in the region. So could you talk a little bit about your position regarding the relationship between South Korea and Japan? Obviously, you're here right now in South Korea, and you yourself are Japanese.
Yeah. And yes, I think Japanese government wants to be, Japanese people will hate Korean people. It's like a propaganda in Japan. And also a lot of Japanese people, why I cannot understand, they want to hate Korean people. It is very difficult to be having Korea and South Korea and Japan were having good friendships. I think if people can trust with Korean people, and if people having time to Korean people, they can understand Korean people. They are not bad persons, and it is a very important things to be. Japanese people will meet Korean people, and they enjoy in the life together. But Japanese people don't want to do that, and it's really little strange. And also, Japanese media will make negative things about Korean people. It's like propaganda, I think. So it is what I want to explain with you and Korean people.
Something that gets picked up a lot in the South Korean media and sometimes international media as well is the idea of Japan extending its military, kind of rearming itself, getting past this sort of pacifist ideal that it was supposed to have after World War II. Obviously, Germany has a military now. Some people would say Japan should also, as a strong ally of the United States, which is also a strong ally of South Korea, Japan should also have a military that is part of that alliance. So as a Japanese person, what are your thoughts regarding Japan's current and future military ambitions?
Important things is we had law number 9. That means Japan never will do war, and we hope to be peace, just peace when we finish the last war. But the Japanese government changed the law about defense military. We can be attacked with outside of country now, and it is a very serious problem because Japanese military went to South Sudan, and maybe they did something bad things there, and they came back. Also, Japanese military can be attacked with South Korea or China. I don't know, but they will follow America, and if people realize it is a very dangerous situation, we can stop the government, but Japanese people don't want to do that. I don't know why. They don't want to do anything with the government, I think. They are not strong, I think.
Another topic that's obviously very controversial between not only South Korea but other countries and Japan is something that is known as comfort women that I'm sure you're very familiar with. As a Japanese woman, what are your thoughts on the sexual slavery of Korean, Chinese women, as well as women from other nationalities for Japanese troops around the time of World War II?
Also, I went to Japanese ambassador in Seoul, and I met people who wants to be protect bronze of comfort girl. I think it is a very sad story of a comfort woman, and also Japanese men. They do a lot of second rape things with comfort women now. And I think it just make a problem with Korea and Japanese government, I think. Because Japanese government hide a true history of comfort women every time, and they will lying and they will say negative things about South Korean comfort women and also outside of country people. And I think it is a very negative things. It's very bad.
I think you mentioned some kind of deal that would need to be struck. There have been recently some deals. There was also a deal very far in the past, sometime in the 60s, I believe, that's sometimes cited by the Japanese government and other people on that line of thinking that say that there's already been compensation for comfort women and other people. And so how does this come up in Japan? I've actually done some interviews with Japanese people on the street just for a report I did. And a couple different people, when I asked them about comfort women, they basically described to me that there was already reparations, there was already a deal that was struck. And then to be frank, they basically told me that they thought that, that this wasn't a problem anymore and it had already been solved. Obviously, in South Korea, that's usually not what people think. They think that there's still more that needs to be done. But as I just mentioned, there has been a recent deal between the two governments that many people, not part of the government, so just, South Koreans and activists and people involved with the comfort women who are still alive, they were not they didn't have a very good opinion of this deal. So do you have any idea of how this can move forward? They've already tried to do deals between the governments, but they haven't been popular with the people.
I think it is important things to Japanese people will come to South Korea and people will speak with Korean people because a lot of Japanese people cannot understand why Japanese people will make a lot of problems and they will do second rape with comfort women. And it is very difficult to explain, but Japanese man's mind is very difficult, I think, because they cannot realize they will do second rape with comfort women, and it is also they will do it with Japanese women.
Could you talk about what you mean by that? I think you said second rape. What do you mean by that term?
Second rape means if someone had rape and they had pain on their heart, but the other person will be not kind kindly
denying facts, not being able to admit fault.
Yeah, and also they are real slaves or something like that. It's nonsense, I think. But it's common to be Japanese people were saying that. And they say, already we paid, no problem now. And the Korean government and the Korean people were against with us, they say.
And so yourself as a Japanese peace activist and promoting peace while in Japan, in South Korea, other areas, what's it like for you doing this type of activism in Japan?
I wanted to be care of Fukushima people and the other people who is in a difficult situation. And also I wanted to try to research more things. Also, now Japanese people, they are very poor. It is not only in Japan, but Japanese government doesn't want to care of that, and it is a very difficult situation.
But as a peace activist, do you feel like you have rights? Are you able to protest? Are you able to act this way? Are you ever afraid of being incarcerated by the police or being charged with a crime? Obviously, in South Korea, in the United States where I'm from, other countries, sometimes people get arrested. Sometimes there's consequences even for peaceful activism. So as a Japanese person, do you ever have a fear of the type of work you do? Or is that not something that you have to think about?
Yes, I think so. Because Japanese government made a conspiracy law and police will take a lot of peaceful activists and they are afraid with police. Yeah, and that's a real problem, yeah.
And then finally, Yo, I believe you'll soon be leaving South Korea. So what's next for you?
Next, I will go to France and I will meet a friend who lives in France, and then I want to come back to South Korea in July because my friend invited me for the discussion for peace, and I want to come back to South Korea again.
And then finally, Yo Kawanaka, before we say goodbye, once again, this quote that was in the Korea Times, an opinion piece written by one of your colleagues, says that you emphasize good relations between Korea and Japan is the fundamental requirement for peace in the region. Obviously, South Korea has a new president, Moon Jae-in. People mostly are very optimistic. It seems like a very big turn, a very big change from the previous president, Park Geun-hye. Japan still has the leader that it had before. So how do you think peace between South Korea and Japan, or peace just in the region, how do you see that happening? What is your goal for this?
I think Moon Jae-in, he is very peaceful person and he can make good relationships with Japan and North Korea and China, America. I think so. And we need to follow and support him. And also we need to explain what is the Japanese government's program and what is the Japan's program now. And we need to support if some Japanese person wants to come to South Korea, and if he or she wants to be having a good friendship with South Korean people, it is a good. It can make good opinion with Japanese people, I think, because Japanese people they don't know about South Korean situation. That I want to say that. We don't know anything about South Korea, but I came to South Korea. It is a very happy time for me. Thank you.
I've been speaking with Yo Kawanaka. She's a Japanese peace activist, obviously just participated in the Asia Institute's Peace March that took place in Seoul. And as she just mentioned, she has some plans to go to Europe and then perhaps might come back to South Korea. So Yo Kawanaka, thank you for speaking with me and best of luck with your travels.
Thank you very much.
This episode is brought to you by Podcast Assist, offering voiceovers, audio editing and mastering, transcriptions and show notes, episode summaries, and even hosting a podcast on a topic important to you. Visit facebook.com/Podcast Assist for more info on their flat $30 per hour rate. Talk radio, music, and podcasts. from the Korean Peninsula. KoreaFM.net.